Supreme Court hands down jail sentences to host and 2 panelists of Muntie FM.
Two days more for NHIS registrants to re-register. This is the news on GBC24 and GTV. My name is Shirley Annan.
My name is Gifty AJ and our signer is Clement Sam. Good evening.
Now, the Supreme Court has, in a unanimous decision, sentenced the host and 2 panelists of Muntie FM to 4-month imprisonment, in addition to a 10,000 Ghana cedi fine for contempt. On default, the convicted persons will serve an extra 1 month of the sentence.
Again, the owners and directors of Muntie FM and ZZ Media, owners of the frequency, are to pay a fine of 30,000 Ghana cedis each, including a comprehensive policy to be submitted to the court, indicating that such an incident will not recur.
Months imprisonment include the host of the Muntie FM's Pampaso show, Salif Umasi, popularly called Mugabe, and 2 panelists, Godwin Akugan and Alistair Nelson. The apex court of the land found them guilty of contempt of court. The 2 contemnors, Edwin Akugan and Alistair Nelson, threatened to kill judges of the Supreme Court depending on how they handle the case regarding the credibility of the voters' register. The host of the program also failed to stop them. In its ruling, the Supreme Court ordered the Electoral Commission to delete names of more than 56,000 voters who registered with the NHIS cards. Earlier, Alistair Nelson was reported to have told the court on July 18 that he suffered from a condition called Pokpok, which compelled him to make such contemptuous statements. In the earlier hearing, the contemnors pleaded guilty, while the owners of the station, through their counsel, also pleaded with the court to temper justice with mercy. But the court found them guilty and ordered them to reappear before it on the 27th of July for judgment. After the ruling, counsel for the contemnors, Nana Atudadzi, said they were not expecting custodial sentence for such an offense.
The Supreme Court has spoken. We respect its decision. MBCL, that is the company operating Muntie FM, is to produce policies and measures for ensuring that their stations are not used for similar acts by end of day tomorrow, 28/7/16. And they will also find a total of 30,000 Ghana cedis to be paid on or by and tomorrow, 28/7/16. ZZ Media, which owns a frequency license, is also to produce policies and measures for ensuring that the frequency that's being held is not used for such, similar acts as had been done. And they are also to submit their policies or plans by end of day tomorrow, 28/7. And they also find 30,000 Ghana cedis. Of course, as you must have heard by now, the host and the panelists were sentenced to 4 months imprisonment, in addition to 10,000 Ghana cedis fine or a further 1 month imprisonment.
Outside the court premises were sympathizers and supporters of the convicted persons to show solidarity.
In an earlier interview on GBC24, a private legal practitioner, Mr. Kwame Waja, and GGA President, Mr. Afel Moni, reacted to the ruling by the court. According to the lawyer, the sentence is not to impede freedom of speech in the country on the part of the GGA. Mr. Moni said the GGA is worried about the situation since when a journalist is hurt, all journalists are affected. He said journalists should try not to fall foul of the law in the practice of their profession.
Against the freedom of expression. These young men, who are our own friends, made comments to the effect that they threatened the life of judges. And you know, some of you may be too young to understand. We have a history in this country. And they made that comment on the eve of the celebration of our honorable judges who were murdered in circumstances that nobody could understand. Right. You understand? So the judiciary has a certain history. I'm saying that if you are going to make comments that is going to threaten whether individuals or the entire panelists or the Supreme Court, they, like a divine body, are always jealous of their status and who they are. You can insult the president and get away with it. You can insult the legislature and get away. But when it comes to the courts, they may not forgive you.
One would have expected that journalists would have learned lessons from what happened. And human as we are prone to falter. So, as the saying goes, perfection is an impossible goal in any human institution. But when it comes to the media, sometimes our imperfections are so serious and dangerous, especially when they threaten to imperil the peace or destabilize this country. And to us, we've been deeply concerned and overly worried about the development since their misbehavior was brought to the attention of the court. And our concern and worry are predicated on the principle that if one single journalist is hurt, all of us should bleed. And as we speak, we are bleeding profusely, especially those of us at the umbrella position of the GGA over what happened. And we can only say that what has happened should serve as a fountain of lesson to every member of the media community to drink. Because, as I said, we are human and we can falter. But we should make a deliberate and conscious effort not to willfully fall foul of the law or be on the wrong side of the law. Otherwise, what has happened reinforces the point, and so blatantly that once you fall foul of the law or willfully find yourself on the wrong side of the law, you'll be made to taste the biting edge of the law. So this is something we should all learn.
Now, voters who used NHIS cards to register and therefore had their names deleted from the roll have 2 more days to re-register. 10 days into the ongoing exhibition of the register across the country, turnout is still low. GBC24's visit to some exhibition centers in Accra showed that some political parties and election observers are showing little interest in the exercise, a situation they say does not augur well for the entire exercise, since that was an issue of concern for some voters. A report by Winifred Afum.
The Electoral Commission opened the voters' register on the 18th of July for exhibition and verification of the details of voters. The exercise follows a Supreme Court ruling which ordered the Electoral Commission to delete over 56,000 names of voters who registered with the NHIS cards. It's day 10 of the exhibition of the voters' register, and still, the officers at the centre say patronage is not encouraging. With the register being a key issue, one would have thought that all parties would have at least one agent at the various polling stations to keep an eye on the exercise, but somehow this has not been the case here. At all the polling stations visited, the officers were either taking a nap or sitting idly, waiting for the next voter who might decide to come check his or her details. Our cameras did not capture a single voter at any of the centers. Also worrying was the fact that there was no political party representative at any of the centers, likewise election observers. At the Frankies Down Center, out of the 655 expected voters, only 26 had come to check their details. At Frankies and S1, out of the 765 voters, 203 had shown up. Frankies and S2 had recorded 41 people out of the 281 voters expected. Flagstaff House GHS Center had also recorded 195 out of the 777 voters. Turnout at Kandare State 2 and 3 was no different from the other centers. 259 people had gone to check their details out of the 932 voters on the register. No NHIS registrant had been deleted from the register. The exhibition officials said it was worrying that none of the political parties had sent a representative to keep an eye on the exercise.
With the party agent too, they were saying because of the NHIS, it's not good, so they have to delete them from the register. They've done that, but at least they should be here to see what is going on. And then as a citizen of Ghana too, when there is an exercise going on, you are involved. So it's part and parcel that you come and check your name in the register, but it's not encouraging at all.
Yeah, so far it has been dull, and the party agents are not forthcoming. In fact, they came the first day that we started, after which I've not seen them.
But the officers hoped that if turnout continues like this till the end of the exercise, there will be no cause for an extension. Likewise, on the part of the political parties, they did not expect anyone to raise any flags at the end of the exercise if this indifference continues. Winifred Afum, GBC24, Accra.
3 envoys have bid farewell to the good people of Ghana through the presidents at the Flagstaff House. They are the High Commissioner of India and the ambassadors of Italy and Holland.
Ambassador Hans Doctor of Holland effectively represented his country in Ghana, consolidating the legacy of predecessors. The Dutch government has considerably supported the cause of Ghana's development. Laura Carpini is leaving as Italian ambassador, having worked to cement relations between Italy and Ghana. There have been high-level visits between the two countries prior to the departure of the ambassador. Relations between Ghana and India have been elevated in the last 4 years, following increased political and technical exchanges under the ambassadorial tenure of Mr. Jiva Sagar. Napoleon Atukito reporting.
Away from that story, government says it expects a continuous downward trend of inflation for the next 1 year after showing such signs at 18%. This is premised on prudent financial measures coupled with fiscal discipline, which has kept the economy on a stable course in an election year amidst turbulent times on the international market. Vice President Kwesi Arthur expressed this confidence at the seat of government in an interaction with head of Standard Chartered Bank from Africa and Middle East.
It is customary for chief executive officers of the Standard Chartered Bank from Africa.
The 3 who were sentenced to 4 months imprisonment include.
It is customary for chief executive officers of the Standard Chartered Bank from Africa and Middle East regions to hold periodic meetings, usually in big markets. This year, Ghana plays host to this all-important meeting, even as it coincides with the 120th year of the bank's operations in the country. Leadership of the bank, which met Vice President Kwesi Arthur, commended government for the IMF program, which has seen a smooth navigation of the economy despite some turbulence across the globe.
Ghana is one of our bigger markets. It went through a tough period in the last couple of years, but has emerged stronger, I must say, in the last 12 months. Under the leadership of Kweku and his team, they've done exceptionally well, and the support that we've got from yourselves and your government. So that's been very well appreciated, and it has really manifested itself in our strong performance.
Vice President Kwesi Arthur, the fund program has yielded fiscal consolidation, reduced deficits, and created conditions for further economic growth, irrespective of the challenges on the international market.
The external conditions have not been that favorable. In the commodity prices are still low, and for us, in the 2 largest commodities that we export, cocoa and gold, we have not had the fantastic prices. Even the petroleum has also, as we all know, price of petroleum have reduced substantially, and we've had some complications on our one export field, and that also has reduced. There's a time of the year when inflation comes down because the food harvest is in, and we don't expect any large increases in fuel prices that have a direct impact on inflation. So we're expecting inflation to start a downward trend and continue for the next 1 year, and to be able to be stabilized.
As Ghana has already signed interim economic partnership agreements with the European Union, the meeting was to share ideas with the various CEOs on how other economies managed win-win situations in such agreements, as well as measure signals on liquidity inflows from investors into an economy that is heading towards elections. Nto Bibiningto, GBC24, Flagstaff House.
The Ghana Prison Service Council is appealing for financial support from benevolent organizations to enable the FIASE projects to transform the country's prisons into reform centers.
The FIASE project is an initiative of the Ghana Prison Service Council as part of a 10-year plan to, among other things, improve existing conditions at the country's prisons and also transform the prisons into reform centers. The Prisons Council hopes to achieve its target by creating awareness of the deplorable conditions at the prisons and solicit financial support from corporate organizations and benevolent individuals. A member of the Ghana Prison Service Council, Dr. Kwabena Opoku-Edusei, outlined the project's aim to establish a prisons hospital to cater for the health needs of prisoners, prison officers, and the community as a whole.
The hospital will serve three main purposes: for the prisoners themselves, for the officers, and for the general community. You can just go to the prison hospital that is done anywhere. You can access the police hospital, whether you're a civilian or a policeman. So that's the other area that we are pushing for.
The chairman of the Ghana Prison Service Council, Reverend Stephen Wengam, who highlighted some developments, appealed to corporate institutions and individuals to contribute towards Project FIASE.
Using your media platform to appeal to corporate bodies to come on board, we are prepared to partner with them. We don't want for the Christmas handouts. We also want to be able to give out something in exchange for something. And that's why the public-private partnership is key. And we're inviting all to come on board to assist us.
The National Prisons Week has been scheduled for the last week of August this year.
We cross over to the Ashanti region, where a domestic fire at Asafo in Kumasi, the Ashanti regional capital, claimed the life of a baby boy. Other property, including structures of some squatters, were also burnt.
Virtually all accommodation in this part of Asafo is wooden, some of which have electricity supply. The area is basically a slum, with most of the inhabitants there being settlers. However, according to eyewitnesses, the slum was without electricity supply as the national grid had gone off when the fire broke out at about 11 p.m. The fire is suspected to have started from one of the adjoining structures of clay baking ovens, which were out of use at the time. The occupants of that structure are a 22-year-old man, Muhammadu Amidu, who relocated from Sawaba about a month ago. His wife and their 1.5-year-old baby boy, called Majid Mohammed. The father of the baby told GBC24 that the baby was asleep when he went out to buy something at about 11 p.m. On his return, he realized that the entire place was engulfed in flames. He said due to the intensity of the fire, there was little he could do to save his son, as the mother was also not around at the time. Unfortunately, the baby was completely burnt in the fire. When GBC24 got to the area on Tuesday afternoon, the remains of the baby were still at the scene, awaiting police investigations before the release of the body for burial. Personnel of the Ghana National Fire Service had already visited the scene of the fire to begin their investigations. Many settler families lost their property. One of the victims, a staff of Zoom Lion, Mr. Thomas Abra, who operates a drinking bar within the slum, lost all his capital in the fire. He told GBC24 that he started the business about a year ago with about 30,000 Ghana cedis he borrowed. Another victim, Madame Elizabeth Nso, who claims to have settled there about 13 years ago, says she lost cash of 1,500 Ghana cedis, being sales so far made from her cocoa business.
Well, coming up is business.
In business tonight, cocoa farmers in the Wasa Amenfi district of the Western region are to benefit from a $1 million loan facility to improve cocoa production in the country. The farmers will not pay any interest on the loans being offered by Olam Ghana. The package was announced at a debate of cocoa farmers at Mumuni near Samraboy in the Amenfi West district of the Western region. Ghana's cocoa production dropped from its 2010-2011 peak of 1 million metric tons to 700,000 metric tons in the 2014-2015 crop season. In an effort to reverse the trend and increase cocoa production, Olam Ghana, a licensed produce buying company, is offering farmers interest-free loans.
Last year alone, we provided financing to the tune of $100 million. This year, we have just launched the $1 million zero interest credit to our suppliers who have been loyal to us.
The Deputy Chief Executive of Ghana Cocoa Board in charge of quality control, Mr. T.K. Osei, entreated other cocoa buying companies to train farmers in new farming methods.
Olam Ghana Limited, Cocoa Division, they are among the first services this sustainability project in Ghana. Oma provided technical assistance. The
Omanhene of Wasa Amenfi traditional area, Tetrete Okwamwa Sechim, was full of praise for the support to the farmers in the area. He assured the company of the traditional authorities' support towards their operations. The occasion also saw the inauguration of a $150,000 warehouse at Mumuni. The Wasa Amenfi Mine Educational Fund, with a 40,000 seed capital to support the development of education in the area, was also launched. An effort to promote and sustain the Made in Ghana campaign, Minister for Trade and Industry, Dr. Ekospio Gabra, has paid a visit to the Republic Bar in Osu. The Ghanaian eatery uses everything Ghanaian. The Trade Minister's visit is the first to companies who are promoting Made in Ghana products, including food.
The Made in Ghana campaign was launched in 2015 to encourage Ghanaians to patronize Made in Ghana products. Since its inception, indigenous companies have been encouraged to place premium on the packaging, quality and delivery of their products to whip up interest among Ghanaians. Also, manufacturing companies have been encouraged to pay attention to marketing as this area demanded huge investments. A year after the launch, the Minister of Trade and Industry, Mr. Ekospio Gabra, paid a visit to the Republic Bar, one of the ambassadors of the Made in Ghana campaign.
When it came to our attention that this bar here called Republic Bar is one that makes an effort to be as pro-Ghanaian as possible in terms of the raw materials and the products that they use and they serve, we thought, first of all, that it would be good amongst a long list of individuals and companies that we are appointing as Made in Ghana ambassadors, that they also be nominated for such an appointment so that we can continue to eat what we grow and to grow what we eat and to process as much as we grow and to package it, improve the standards and the quality of Ghanaian products hopefully also maintain or reduce the prices and make them more competitive.
The chief executive of the Republic Bar, Mr. Raja Uswansa, said the Made in Ghana campaign sells.
It's a specialty bar that focuses on providing the Ghanaian identity, food-wise, drink-wise, music-wise, experience-wise, and it also lends itself to providing the alternative experiences from around the world as well. It's an environment that garners together people from all walks of life, from all cultures, from all races, from all creeds, and then from all disciplines, and all ages as well.
The committee of the Made in Ghana campaign are optimistic given what they saw on the ground.
Live on GBC24. Now, Ghana is stepping up her cooperation with Iran in areas including petrochemicals, technical and engineering services. At a meeting in Accra between Foreign Minister Madame Hannah Tete and her Iranian counterpart, Dr. Mohammed Javad Zarif, discussions also centered on investment in the agricultural sector.
Iran are both members of the non-aligned movement. Currently, there are about 7 Iranian companies investing over $8.6 million in Ghana. So far, Iranian investments in Ghana have been in the manufacturing sector. To broaden their scope of investments in Ghana, an Iranian business delegation led by the Iranian Foreign Affairs Minister, Dr. Mohammed Javad Zarif, has met with Ghanaian entrepreneurs in Accra, first calling on the Foreign Minister, Ms. Hannah Tete. At this meeting, both ministers agreed to increase investments in all sectors of their economies.
We would be looking at the possibility of enhancing our medical cooperation so that we could have Iranian doctors also coming to Ghana to support the healthcare system that exists. He also gave us an indication that we would be having an additional 10 scholarships for students who want to study in the sciences or any other areas where we want to engage with each other. We agreed that we would continue to cooperate and work together closely within the multilateral arena, in the UN, within the non-aligned movement, and also within Africa and West Africa.
The team later met with the Ghanaian business delegation. Dr. Mohammed Zarif described his team as the strongest and largest Iranian business delegation sent to any country. He pledged his country's commitment to direct more investments to Ghana. Dr. Zarif said the forum marks the beginning of a new era of increased cooperation for both countries.
Let's go to the interbank market where the cedi maintained its value against the dollar, the pound sterling, and the euro. On the international commodities market, gold and cocoa increased by $1.40 and $2 respectively. Light crude, on the other hand, dipped by 23 cents to sell at $42.69 per barrel. Insurance news brought to you by SIC Live. One of the insurance policies that comes in a specialized form beyond property insurance is fire insurance policy. It is also designed to cover the cost of replacement, construction, or repair beyond what is covered by the property insurance policy.
Fire insurance covers damage to the building itself and also covers damage to nearby structures, personal property and expenses associated with not being able to live in or use the property if it is badly damaged. Home and property owners may consider fire insurance in addition to a property insurance policy if the property contains valuable items. Experts say the best practice would be to document the property and its related contents, which makes identifying the value of its damaged or lost much easier after a fire has taken place. The head of technical of non-life insurance at GIA, Mr. Winfred Doji, said fire comes with three things: oxygen, fuel and source of heat, and in this regard, properties are to be insured.
Insurance be one of attribute or be one of the steps that you can take to safeguard your property. Then you look at that angle so that in event of fire becoming a bad master, there will still be hope.
GBC24 found out that even though reports of arson is rare, in order to make insurance claims, it does happen. The Deputy Chief Fire Officer, Kwame Kwarteng, said it is necessary for a compulsory fire insurance if the property owner has a financial interest, since fire insurance policy is one of the compulsory insurance policies. He spoke about the need to acquire a permit before putting up a building.
We review and look at your fire provisions in terms of mitigating if there's a fire outbreak in the building. And when we're satisfied with that, we say we give you approval in principle, and then those who give you the permit to construct are the AMA. We don't give permit to construct, but we advise on the fire provisions that you have in there.
The Managing Director of Imperial General Insurance, Mrs. Esther Osei-Yeboah, said commercial property owners must display their issued certificates on their properties.
The red one as for existing buildings. So if you own a commercial property, or you happen to be an owner or a tenant in a commercial property and transacted business there, and you don't have this type of certificate, then you must know that you are flouting the law. You display on your premises, and the tax force, when they come, will look out for this certificate.
The experts advise the public to comply in accordance with the law to ensure their privately owned commercial properties. With regards to compensation, the amount is calculated after taking into account the amount of depreciation. This will depend on the market price of the new assets so that it is replaced without additional cost to the insured.
Insurance news was brought to you by SIC Live. News Hour continues.
In health news, experts say the incidence of birth asphyxia, that is, inadequate supply of oxygen to an infant's brain before, during and after birth, is on the increase. They say asphyxia accounts for a third of neonatal death across the country. Damage of the brain from asphyxia is irreversible and incurable, affecting the child's development for life. Preventing birth asphyxia and ensuring efficient healthcare systems are the focal points being deliberated on by stakeholders at a conference currently ongoing in Accra.
Three main factors that account for neonatal deaths being born preterm, infections and birth asphyxia. In low and middle income countries, poor health systems, inadequate infrastructure and health financing are attributed to the 6.3 million infant deaths, 44% of which are neonates. For the past 5 years, stakeholders in a newborn health strategy and national action plan have targeted a 5% reduction in neonatal mortality from 32% per 1,000 live births in 2011 to 21 deaths per 1,000 live births by 2018.
These targets are achievable, ladies and gentlemen. As a country, we have subscribed to the SDGs, and it's our task to achieve the targets that have been set at the national level and also at the international level. We want to be able to monitor labor, we want to be able to monitor delivery, and we want these to be monitored by qualified healthcare providers so that we're able to detect complications very early and then take prompt action and make prompt interventions. This is what will help us.
According to UNICEF, 50% of all neonatal deaths occur during delivery, and this is due to the absence of baby-friendly facilities. At the annual Newborn Stakeholders Conference, its country representative, Ms. Susanna Mundo Ngogi, pledged commitment to interventions targeted at reversing the trend.
Proper monitoring of labor and taking immediate steps to make sure that we deal with complications and resuscitating the newborns will contribute to achieve significant declines in both maternal and newborn mortality. And put quite simply, we just need to make sure that we have a more efficient and effective healthcare system that delivers quality care during childbirth. And this is one of the goals of the WHO Global Quality of Care Initiative.
Donor partners and ambassadors of neonatal health also committed to championing issues concerning neonatal health.
Let us rise up and use our voice to make a difference, to save that baby crying. Save me from asphyxia. Help me breathe. Help me live. Yes, we have ambassadors, but each one of us here is an ambassador.
Director of Reproductive Child Health, Dr. Isabella Sego-Moses, noted that although there is significant improvement in reducing deaths, the inadequacy of staff skilled in delivery, infrastructure, and healthcare financing for neonatal care are still persistent. Pediatric consultant at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, Dr. Christabel Anrewenu-Laye, gave an insight into the growing incidence of birth asphyxia in the country, for which reason she calls for a concerted approach to prevent its occurrence.
When a baby's brain is damaged at birth, that baby has a risk of dying if it's severe, or having major disability if the baby survives severe birth asphyxia. Babies who have mild asphyxia might recover completely, but it's also possible that that period when their brain was deficient of oxygen might somehow limit their future potential of being what they would have been. There is specialist care, but there's no cure.
Participants in the ensuing days will delve into public-private partnerships and community mobilization to improve neonatal health care in Ghana.
That's all in health.
And elders of Dodo Pepeso and Dodo Amanfrom of the Volta region jointly paid a courtesy call on President John Mahama at the Flagstaff House. They were there to commend the government for the numerous projects in their area, including the Eastern Corridor Road, which they singled out as very important. That road is being rehabilitated to connect the south to the north as an alternative to other routes.
The Eastern Corridor Road, which is currently under construction, was the primary reason why the chiefs and the elders of Dodo Pepeso and Dodo Amanfrom called on the president. That long stretch of road was in a state of abeyance until the Mahama administration captured it in party manifesto for reconstruction. The road extends from Boko through Yendi, Dodo Pepeso, all the way to Tema in the south. It will absorb some of the congestion on the central corridor.
Traditional areas some anya third rows. The Hongkwan adia aka this anti fear say bani beto wadawma.
Me wojide say
Eastern Corridor Road no ebebem akwanya wo train no so matro ato.
The chiefs also made a correction to the pronunciation of the name of towns in their area. Instead of Dodi Pepeso, as many called it, they said it is rather Dodo Pepeso. The Dodi precedes Papase, thus Dodi Papase. Napoleon Atukito.
And tonight's edition of sports, the Ghana Premier League recorded some amount of goals as the Premier League entered match day 22. We now bring you results of what transpired this afternoon. Inter Allies beat Wa All Stars by 2-0 at Tema, and New Edu Biase also thrashed Kotoko by 2-1 in Obuasi. Hearts of Oak drew 1-1 with Ash Gold in Accra, and Adansoman Liberty Professionals thrashed Hazakes by 4-0. And in Cape Coast, Dwarfs beat Wafa by 1-0. Dreams FC also thrashed Brekum Chelsea by 4-0. And in Bechem United scored 2, as opposed Techiman Cities recording no score at all. That's it for sports.
Welcome back. In entertainment, the ability of an artist to curate a distinct image of their craft in the minds of an audience becomes the artist brand. It is a marketing tool for those who seek to be unique and stand out, given their skills and talent. Ken Ayisoba is a traditional Ghanaian musician who exemplifies the concept of artist branding in Ghana. Well, this has been News Hour on GBC24. Thank you for watching. Good evening.